Hey guys, Chris here from Kite Republic, here today to introduce the all-new Smik Wing V3. So I've got them up against each other here, the V3 and then last season's V2. There's been some pretty huge changes in here. Overall, a very similar outline, looking at them from the front, and still absolutely that wing you want if you're after the all-rounder that performs really well in heaps of different things, but that will absolutely excel when you get into that flow style, get it on the surf handle, looking to ride waves, looking to find bumps, and looking for a wing that's just super predictable, has an excellent canopy tension, and it's just really maneuverable and fun. What a lot of people are going to have found that have the V2, they had a very small handle, so there were a number of small handles throughout it. The absolute benefits of that obviously were you never lost anything in the stroke. It wasn't that big saggy handle that when you went looking for power, you didn't lose half of that stroke to sag and then get it back, but you had a really small tight handle, so basically straight away you had it, and because the canopy was so well tensioned, you didn't lose it from that either. So whether you were 6 foot, whether you were 5 foot, you had a wing that you could actually get the most out of and get a good stroke no matter your arm length. So that's a bonus, and I think you're going to find that the all-new V3 has stepped that up another notch as well. Just before we get into all of the small details of handles, inflation parts, all of that, one massive thing that's been upgraded enormously this year is the amount of panels that have been used between V2 and V3. So I counted them up before, and through the canopy here, this was one of the tightest canopies on the market, really well balanced, it worked really well. But when you look at it, you'll be able to count 10 separate panels that run from leading edge to trailing edge. So 10 panels, it's not a huge amount, and what running in that direction does, it effectively probably doesn't link the two tips and those bits that really get loaded that way either. So what we see moving away from the 10 panels running that way, still an excellent wing, is a much smaller paneling system here. I had a quick count before and I counted 34 panels across the canopy. So a couple of things that you can now do when you have that amount of panels is you can build the 3D shape you want into it and not have to allow for too much stretch or anything like that. So you can see the V3 when you put it next to the V2, it holds its shape even better than what we saw in the V2. Just by going to those smaller panels, you see a lot of seams going horizontally across it now. When I say a lot, 1, 2, 3, 4 seams through the canopy linking tip to tip. So a couple of things that this is going to do for you. One is just predictability is going to be even better, whether you're in super light stuff and wanting to be able to load that canopy and really get a tight result and response, or whether you're in 40, 45 knots and wanting that canopy to just keep its shape so that you're not there with that, basically that bag feeling that you can get when you're completely overloaded. We're going to get a lot better, so a much wider range of winds. So something that I've found, I've had probably about 5 or 10 sessions on this now, and the things that I'm finding different to the V2 is I feel like I've pretty much jumped power by about a size. So 5 meter is the wing that I've ridden and been my main wing for where we are here in Melbourne. I'm about 85 kilos, ride a range of boards with it, and 5 meters is about right for me. What I found last year was couldn't get off it. I couldn't find anything I preferred to ride, but I did find power-wise I was sort of right in the middle, maybe to the lower end of power for size. Straight away getting onto the V3, I see there's a massive jump in that power levels. It's like effectively riding the old 6 instead of the 5. However, you don't have more to deal with in terms of size, canopy size and the rest. So that was absolutely brilliant. And the first thing, a couple of things you'll see, the tips. They stay thicker for a bit longer as well, so there's a bit more structure through that part of it to what we saw in the V2 version. We move forwards to everybody's favourite winging position, out on the surf handle. And what you'll see, last year we saw, I think it was a double up on the Dacron pretty much through there. So it was still a little bit rough on the knuckles, and I heard a few people complain about that. For the V3, it's gone to a really nice big neoprene patch. So no matter where you are along there, you're going to be finding you're on neoprene, and it's got that nice feeling there. Big handle there that's easy to grab, easy to pass depending on which way you're turning and going as well. Looking really nice. Now, one of the absolute biggest changes for this year, handles. You can see on here there are two big semi-rigid handles that will come with it. When I say semi-rigid, like, you know, I can basically, whoa, it's kind of windy once I get it up that arm stretch. With the semi-rigid handles, look, I'm pushing that with a lot and it's barely moving. However, Scott, the designer of these, has said he's finding he definitely prefers the semi-rigid to the rigid, just because when you get the gustiness, when you get those unpredictable winds, it just gives you that little bit of a buffer. You're not losing anything on the sweep. You know, when you're pumping it, it's not sagging, it's not coming down like the super soft handles. It's still really rigid. But if you choose and if you prefer, you can change 2 screws at either end and just switch this straight across to a fully rigid handle as well. It'll come with the semi-rigid, but no problems at all. Quick 2-minute job to switch it over, and you can buy the fully rigid handles as an accessory. Like last year, the valve system, any pump is going to fit that valve. Super easy to use. Very little goes wrong with them. Haven't had any dramas at all with any of the Smik Wing. We've got the one pump system and on both sides nice and thick, so super easy to get it up and down. Still comes with that really nice slight bungeed wrist strap and leash. Now, a lot of people are finding that they prefer these leashes to the coiled ones just because there's less that gets tangled in and around. It's a really simple setup. I really like it, each to their own on that. You'll see on the actual trailing edge here as well, like last year, it's still got that bit of reinforcement right through. Nothing too crazy. You don't want that area to be super heavy and then going from heavy to light material and causing a breakdown area. There's 2 really small and flexible battens on either side as well. We haven't seen that before, but again, that'll stop any flutter and basically just keep that area really nice and stiff. Like on the previous there, you'll see, you know, the draft right through the middle will maintain its tension. It's about a foot or so back from that max point there. Really nicely reinforced, really nice small details. Everything's finished really well. A couple of extra little reinforcements through for the new handles. This has been probably the standout wing on the market when it comes to that surf and flow style riding. I'd say that extra little bit of grunt that we see that I was talking to earlier in the video, because it's got that extra little bit of power now as well, it's going to be even more all-round for some of the other areas. So surfers are going to be able to ride that little bit smaller than they probably would have in the past, just because they're up on foil easier. That'll allow them to have smaller wings and an even better time when they're out there surfing. Floats really well, it's really well balanced, and I would say to the team at Smik, great job guys. Can't wait to get more of these out on the water soon. If you're keen to try them, we have them in demo at Kite Republic, and you can find more information at kiterepublic.com.au. Cheers guys.